$1 million. Free to play. You just need to survive. It's the Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Pick one team to win each week. Get it right, move on. Get it wrong, you're out. The last fans standing take home a guaranteed $1 million cash prize. And for every player who joins, we add $1 to the pot, up to $10 million. The Fanatics NFL Survivor Pool. Play free on the Fanatics app. App access open to all. Must be 21 plus and joined by 9/8 to play. No purchase necessary. U.S. only. Void where prohibited. Subject to complete terms. See fanatics.com/game rules.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info. And if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Cycling and running, two of the most popular Olympic sports and two of the biggest events of the 2025 UK sporting calendar. I'm John.
And I'm Michael, and I'm in South Shields for the 2025 Great North Run, which has wrapped up in the last hour or so with wins in the men's and the women's elite races for Kenya, wins for Scotland and England in the elite wheelchair races, and a third place finish for Scotland's Ailish McColgan.
They're just so strong, and that's my next bit really. I've got the speed, like I show that at the end. I'm absolutely tearing down that final mile, but I need to get stronger to stay attached with them.
More to come on that. In British cycling's Tour of Britain, we say goodbye to a legend.
As I get to Cardiff, that's when they will hit me. And next week, I guess, as well, when I'm back home, and I'm just be like, what now?
Geraint Thomas, of course. I absolutely love the bit where he just goes, what now? Well, it is something to ponder. Is he the greatest Welsh sportsperson ever? Michael is already shaking his head. We will be asking him, not Michael. We asked Michael as well, but we asked Geraint, we asked Michael, and we'll hear from some of the other British names set to become household names who've been performing so brilliantly at the Tour of Britain this week.
Packed podcast today. This is Anything But Footy, where we cover Olympic and Paralympic sport all the time, not just once every 4 years.
Yes, rate us, tell your friends to listen and stay in touch all the time with all of our socials and our latest blogs on our website, anythingbutfooty.com. Well, Michael is feeling better after the last episode. You'll remember he was struggling with his cough and cold and voice. It's nice to have you back, Michael.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's still not 100%, but, you know, I haven't PB'd today at the Great North Run here in South Shields, but, you know, I think I've put a marker down and it's set me up for a good season ahead. And what I mean by that is the World Championships in Tokyo, which is my next big assignment.
Yes, he's working very hard. Stay tuned. We'll bring you details on that in a moment. But as Michael said, he's in Gateshead for Talk Sport for the Great North Run. And like the London Marathon, one of the bedrocks of the sporting calendar in this country. We will have more on that to come. But maybe the Lloyd's Tour of Britain could become the same. In the last week, spanning the east coast of England to the west coast of Wales and the south coast, the men's edition. And there's also a women's tour earlier in the year. More than 110 riders from right across the world, including the Olympic champion, representing 19 teams and 20 different nations taking part. Now, this week was dominated by sprinter Olaf Koij of the Netherlands. He won 3 races, including the first in Suffolk, the first stage, and the last stage in Wales for Team Visma. And it was a good week for Visma overall, Britain's Matthew Brennan winning stage 3.
Yeah, it's been a nice kind of year to see where I'm at, what I'm kind of capable on, and see kind of what we can try and push for in the future.
You've done pretty amazing, some incredible wins this year, and obviously up the top there are the best people winning in the world.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's pretty special to be, you know, you see these people on TV and you think, oh, that's pretty cool to do, and to be racing against them and trying to beat them ultimately, it's something to be kind of proud of, and when you look back on. So yeah, it's been nice.
And you were instrumental yesterday in Olav's win, obviously leading him out. That's obviously become a role for you as well.
Yeah.
But obviously you'll get your own chances. What do you think is going to happen in the next few days?
Yeah, the whole point of coming to bike races is to learn. So the team have put me in these positions where I try new things out. The whole team's intention is just to come for stages, but they kind of just said to me in person and just to try it and see how far you can get with GC. If you get nowhere, there's no problem. But the main intention is to try and win, and we're here with one of the fastest guys in the world, so why not help him and see him cross the line first.
Yeah. Saying Olav's one of the fastest guys in the world, so are you now, beating people like Jonathan Milan.
Yeah.
How do you see that in terms of that's pretty incredible?
Yeah, I mean it was quite special, but it does help that you got one of the world's best cyclists helping you. When you have guys like Wout pulling in the last few 100 meters, it's makes it slightly easier to kind of beat him in the end. But I think to come up with a guy like Milan, what he's achieved and things like this. So I don't think you can take it for granted.
No. And do you feel the pressure when Wout van Aert is leading you out?
Not really. You see everyone is kind of doing their job. It doesn't matter who it is, they all do their best, and that's what really matters.
Great Britain's Sam Watson for Ineos Grenadiers came second in Cardiff in the sixth and final stage. Fred Wright in third place in a rather wet and horrible Wales, but it meant that Romain Gregore of France held on to the overall green jersey to win the Tour of Britain 2025. Now, one of the 19 teams competing was British Cycling, and with very much an eye on the World Track Championships to come in the coming weeks, there were some impressive results, particularly in the early stages. Josh Golliker, who won the first award called the Combative Award, voted for by the viewers of the Tour of Britain in stage one. He was third in that first performance, and King of the Mountains, he was third overall as well for British Cycling.
I tried to go for the sprint points and the com points, but I got bested there, but I'm happy to get a reward out of it.
Yeah, you made a really good effort to try and get the sprint points and the mountain points.
Yeah, of course, it was quite difficult, and the other riders, chapeau to them, were very, very strong.
Ben Chilton was King of the Mountains on stage 4.
It was pretty cool. It was an aim coming here to have one day in the breakaway, and maybe I chose the hardest day to do it, or not the fastest day to do it. I think it was full gas all day.
But you did a really good job. You're obviously quite attacking to start with and managed to get in that break.
Yeah. It was a plan just for at least one of us from the team to get in, and turned out to be me.
And you've been trying all week with one or other of the team members.
We've not missed a break so far. We had a little mishap on the second stage, but we've been successful in the aim of getting in the breaks.
You were getting cheers all the way around. The Great British team are obviously getting lots of attention.
Yeah.
Is it good to see all the people at the side of the road?
Oh, it's so nice, yeah. And it's the biggest crowd I've ever seen, so it's real nice. And even you go around and everyone's shouting, "Go on, Ben!" I was like, I don't really know I'm not sure how you know my name, but it's real nice to see the support.
And you've done some pretty good stuff this year yourself. You won a few races in France, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, I had 3 victories this year in France, and maybe 20 top 15s, 30 top 15, something like that. So consistency is good, and just waiting for another couple wins towards the end of the season.
And what are your plans after this?
I'd like to move up, and I'm here to show that I can move up. But I'm happy to stay. If I don't move up, I'm happy to stay in France and have another year in France. I'm enjoying the racing. The team's really good, and maybe I can get some more opportunities to race for the GB.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So really well done, and I hope it goes well for the rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Matt Bostock now planning a trip to the World Track Championships next month.
Riding for the national team, you really get the support of everyone out there. I think some of them probably don't know many of the big teams, but they'll obviously know the national colours, so we tend to get the majority of the support, which is nice.
Lovely. And what's next for you after the Tour of Britain?
Got some goals on the track, hopefully make world selection, and pick up some rainbow bands with the boys.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But we also saw the end of the road, literally, for one of the true legends of British cycling and British Olympic sport. I'm talking about Geraint Thomas, or as everybody knows him, G. The Ineos Grenadiers rider ended in his home city of Cardiff, and he ended, quite fittingly, at his very own velodrome. Well, the Geraint Thomas velodrome. Age 21, you'll recall, back in 2007, he won his first senior title on the track as the youngest member of the team pursuit squad. He went on to claim an Olympic gold in Beijing in 2008. And who could forget the British domination back in London 2012 when he became Olympic champion again? But it was his love of road cycling, which was apparent from the early days. He won the 2004 Paris-Roubaix Junior, and it's fair to say it all culminated in another British cycling domination at the time of the Tour de France. He was then part of Team Sky, winning the 2018 Tour, aged 32. And now at the age of 39, the Tour of Britain 2025 is his last competitive elite cycling race. And we spoke to him this week.
I'll definitely miss racing for sure, but no, it's like I said just now, it's the right time. But yeah, I'll make the most of it, you know. Next week, I guess, as well, when I'm back home, and I'm just be like, what now?
So day 4, how are you feeling?
A bit tired, actually. Like, I don't know why I sound surprised, you know. It's still hard racing, stressful, but yeah, just I don't know. After the tour, it was kind of, you know, tough to get going again, and then coming here, though, the atmosphere and everything it's definitely worth it. But it's just it's hard, you know. Racing's always more and more competitive, no matter what race it is, and stressful. But I'm trying to enjoy it anyway, make the most of the last few days.
Next generation of time cyclists have actually talked about how inspirational you've been. What does that mean to you in terms of people like Matt Bredon, Sam Watson, all saying?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's you never really think of that, and almost surprising really when you hear that. So yeah, it's a big compliment.
And one final question for me: are you Wales' best ever sports person?
Oh, that's not for me to decide, but yeah, I've heard this bit is the best sporting moment when I won the Tour, which is nice to hear that. But no, just to be, mentioned on a long list of people I've always looked up to is an honour anyway.
So Geraint Thomas talking to Anything But Footy's Anne-Marie Breach, who's been covering the Tour for us all week. We thank her for all the brilliant, insightful interviews, the knowledge that she gave us, and fabulous photos and videos that you no doubt have seen on the socials. But stage 6 of the Tour of Britain was the ultimate stage, the final race for Geraint Thomas, and G actually led the rollout in front of his own fans, as Michael said, and his own velodrome from Newport, and the wet Welsh weather certainly didn't put the crowds off. But as we heard in the interview, Anne-Marie posed a question to G. Is he the greatest Welsh sportsman ever? Now, he admitted he was up there, but what do you think? Michael, you initially, when I said it at the top of the program, went no.
Well, it's a really difficult thing to try and compute, isn't it? What represents the greatest sportsman ever? And I know you can throw some rugby players and some footballers into the mix, and you will probably have some names for me. What I would say about the rugby players and the footballers is, I know the Rugby Union World Cup is a relatively recent thing, only began in 1987, but Wales have never won it. They've never been the best in the world. That golden age of 80s Welsh football, Ian Rush, Mark Hughes, Neville Southall, didn't qualify for any of the major tournaments. I'm sure you're going to make a play for Gareth Bale, who has, of course, been at a major tournament with Wales, won the Champions League as well. So I'm going to dismiss the rugby players and the footballers on that basis.
So you're dismissing Sir Gareth Edwards and that 1973 Lions try against New Zealand. Also Gareth Davis of Lions. Alan Wynne-Jones, the captain, of course, last time out. Only one of 4 players to ever be selected for 4 Lion tours. All of those are out.
Yep, Jonathan Davis, brilliant at Union and League. Again, because... and it's difficult, like you say, when you go back to sort of Welsh rugby heyday in the 70s, had there been a World Cup, I might put them into the equation, but I'm not going to include them for me in this debate. I've got other names I want to put in there for you.
I agree about the likes of Ian Rush and Mark Hughes, Neville Southall, mainly because, as you said, they didn't qualify for a major tournament, and the likes of Scotland with some great players, Kenny Dalglish, Graham Souness, they still managed to qualify for major tournaments. So I think the Welsh did miss out on that one. I would say that Gareth Bale has to be included in our shortlist because of helping Wales to qualify for a major tournament, the first since 1959, I think it was 58, when they went to Euro 2016. I went to France and covered part of that as part of working with LBC, and it was a magical time, and he certainly was the driver of that team. And then, of course, going to Real Madrid. It's not a little club down the road. This is the world's biggest football club, and he scored an overhead kick in a Champions League final. And still, if you watch YouTube, we'll see Gareth Bale running around the dugout virtually, coming back onto the pitch and scoring a goal against Barcelona, which is an unbelievable football. So look, he has to be up there.
He does, but let's stay true to our roots.
Yes, exactly.
We're an Olympic and Paralympic podcast. Throw me some Olympians, Paralympians.
Well, I'm going to put the case for Geraint Thomas because I actually think he could well be the greatest. That you mentioned Beijing 2008, along with Ed Clancy, Paul Manning, Bradley Wiggins. They won that gold, that team pursuit gold, and we knew that British cycling really started getting literally on track and winning these medals in the early 2000s, and 2008 seemed to be the culmination of it. So Chris Hoy, we wish him well. Of course, he's been raising money with his Tour de Hoy up in Scotland today as well. So that was a real key moment. And then 4 years later, Thomas, along with Clancy, comes back with Stephen Burke and Peter Kenner in London to win another Olympic gold medal. But then to go, as you say, and win the Tour de France after Wiggins, after Froome, that total domination that Sky had. There are question marks, certainly not around Geraint Thomas, but genuinely that achievement for G. And he said in the interview, it really changed, I think, people's opinion of a sport in this country. And he played a huge part of that. And I'm actually quite surprised there hasn't. I know Owen Slot did a great article in the Times this weekend about Geraint Thomas. But if this was Sir Bradley Wiggins retiring, or this was Sir Chris Hoy retiring,
Mark Cavendish. I mean, do you remember last year the hoo-ha when he retired and what happened as well?
This does seem to be. He does seem to be the forgotten man, and that's why I think actually by saying he could be the greatest Welsh sports person of all time shows how good he is in terms of his nation, but also from a British point of view.
Yeah, I think, I've had this conversation with other leading sports people. When you're not the first to have done it, the allure just diminishes slightly, doesn't it? And you mentioned Chris Froome, who's had a really nasty accident as well, as another one that we wish well. He obviously was the second. He didn't get anything like the credit and the adoration that Bradley Wiggins got for winning the Tour de France. So, yeah, then to come back and do it the third time, at that point, you begin to think, well, Team Sky know what they're doing here.
This is easy.
They've got the tools, and he's just the latest cab off the rank. So I think of the names we've mentioned so far, he is the standout candidate. But throw me some others, and I've got a few that I want to counter with.
Okay, so from an Olympic point of view, Colin Jackson. But my big question mark over that, yes, he was the world record holder, both indoor and outdoor in the 110 hurdles. He was a two-time world champion, Commonwealth titles, two of those as well for Wales. Still, of course, a huge part of British athletics, and we hear him on the telly, and we will, I'm sure, at the World Championships. But he just couldn't do it in the Olympics, a silver medal in the Olympics.
Lynn Davis did, an Olympic champion at the long jump. So that, for me, puts him in the conversation.
Absolutely. Jade Jones, the double taekwondo champion, 2012, of course, age just 18, defended that title in 2016. You could say that the disappointment of Tokyo without the crowds, where she felt that she lacked the inspiration, and then the hoo-ha really before Paris, where she didn't perform to her best, is probably the understatement of the day, shows that maybe she's not quite up there with Geraint, but I think she should be in the mix.
Yep. Talking of combat sports, boxing, I mean, not an Olympian, but Joe Calzaghe, a world champion. And Lauren Price, more recently, of course, an Olympic gold medalist. But my two that I'm going to put, number two...
Can I guess one of them that you're going to say?
Go on.
Ray Reardon.
No. I wasn't going to say Ray Reardon, but that's a great shout.
You're a snooker fan and all that.
Ray Reardon at number 3, for me, a 6-time world snooker champion. I'm going to say number 2, Hannah Mills, because she was half of the greatest Olympic photograph ever taken. Of course, an Olympic champion twice, an Olympic silver medalist, was part of the Women's America's Cup team that went so close for Great Britain, part of an amazing sail GP, the sail GP, GB crew now, plus everything else that Hannah Mills has done in her career. But for me, the greatest Welsh sports person of all time, friend of the pod, Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson, 11 gold medals, 4 silver, 1 bronze at the Paralympics. And when you talk about transcending your sport, you talk about contributing more to the world and society, and you do that through sport, there is no argument for me. It has to be Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson.
And it's funny because I asked AI, who is the greatest Welsh sportsman? And this is the reply. There isn't one definitive greatest Welsh sports person, as different sports and eras are represented by various legends. And here who they came up with. Joe Calzaghe, you mentioned. Footballer John Charles, voted the greatest by BBC Sport voters. Gareth Bale. Swimmer and water polo player, Paolo Radmilovic.
4 Olympic gold medals or something from memory in history.
Paralympian Tanni Grey-Thompson. So that is what AI came up with. I'm going to chuck one more in, Ian Woosnam, who I thought again was part of a bit like what you said about Geraint. He was part of a British with Sandy Lyle and Nick Faldo winning Masters, and it was like, well, actually, it's a bit easy if they could all do it. You kind of expect it, but he was again an incredible Welsh sportsman.
Yeah, well, the debate will, I'm sure, rumble on. If you'd like to have your say, you can always do that on our social media feeds. You can find Anything But Footy anywhere. Maybe there's a blog incoming from one of us at our website, anythingbutfooty.com, on this subject. This is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympic podcast, from a great Geraint to the Great North Run next.
This is the Olympic and Paralympic podcast, Anything But Footy. We've done cycling, and the other big sport in this country, of course, at the moment is running and the Great North Run, Michael.
Yep, 13.1 miles from Newcastle to South Shields. You said I was in Gateshead. I was for a bit because it does go past the Gateshead Stadium, but it ends on the seafront in South Shields. First run in 1981, 12,000 people took part in that first one. Devised by Brendan Foster. He got the inspiration from running in a similar race in New Zealand. Today, the largest half marathon in the world, the 44th staging, had 60,000 runners. So in its history, we've had nearly 1.4 million people who have finished this race. 10 million spectators. They estimate around about 250,000 watched today, broadcast to over 160 countries, and raised £25 million for charity today. Just to bring you up to date with the results, first person across the finish line was the men's elite wheelchair winner from Scotland, Sean Frame, in a time of 49.24. The women's elite wheelchair race was won by Mel Nichols of England in 1 hour, 5 minutes, 24. We'll hear from Mel in a moment. The men's elite, Alex Mutiso of Kenya won it. Bashir Abdi of Belgium was the silver medalist, if you like, finished second. And Abel Kipchumba of Kenya finished third. A lot of attention about the women's race. It was a third place finish for Ailish McColgan. It wasn't the conditions today for a quick time. She was using this as part of a build up to the New York Marathon. Vivian Cheruiyot finished second, and Sheila Chepchiri of Kenya won the women's elite race. I said we'll hear from Mel Nichols. I spoke to her as she crossed the finish line to be the winner of the women's elite event. How was it today? Well done on the victory.
Thank you very much. It was really, really good. Yeah, it wasn't in my plan to race this race. It was, a couple of weeks ago. I sort of got asked to race, and I thought, yeah, why not? I'm always sort of banging on about we've got to get more women in sport, more women and girls, and it's particularly para sport. So if you don't show up, you don't represent. How are we going to get more people? So I'm here. So hopefully next year we get loads more people, and year on. An incredible event as always. Everyone puts on, and the atmosphere, the cheering, the support is just brilliant, and that's why we love it.
And a chance to race in front of 200,000 people from Newcastle to South Shields, and you don't get that very often, do you?
Wow, that's a lot of people, isn't it? And a lot of friendly people as well. No, don't get that very often. Don't get that on my training runs at home.
What does it mean to win?
I don't think it's really quite sunk in. I had no expectations today because I haven't been focusing on the race chair for a couple of months because I've been doing ultra racing on the bike, which is very different, sort of thousands of kilometres self-supported bike racing. So I just wanted to finish and I wanted to really enjoy it, and I definitely did. Those two I've ticked off, so that's all I wanted.
Well done today.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, thanks.
So Mel Nichols talking to Michael, and it's just a great day. I mentioned at the start, it's part of the sporting calendar, isn't it? It is the London Marathon, it is the Derby, it is Wimbledon, the Great North Run is it, and that is Brendan Foster. You spoke to him on Friday. That is his legacy.
Yeah, it bookends. I know we've got the World Championships in Tokyo still to come, but for a lot of people, I feel it kind of bookends that outdoor athletic season, because the London Marathon we talk about in the spring, that starts it, and that was brilliant in London this year in the sunshine. It's beginning to rain now here in South Shields, as it always does around about this time on Great North Run Day. This tends to kind of bring that outdoor season to a conclusion. But I think, we talked about the elite races there, but, there's 59,990 others that take to the streets. And, I've done this event a couple of times. I've said to Ailish McColgan, I was talking to her about the course on Friday, and I was talking about it, and she said, "Oh, you've obviously done it because you're knowledgeable about the course." And I went, "Yeah." And she said, "What time?" And I went, 2 hours 2 is my best. And there was this kind of contorted look of anger on her face at just quite how slow that was. Remember that Ailish today, it wasn't a day for really sort of quick times for Ailish today. Her best time was last year when she broke her mother's record, 1 hour 9 minutes 42 seconds today. So, they're just 52 minutes quicker than I've ever done it. But it was about people like Barinderjit Singh Chima, the man who's known as Usain Bolt, who's running 50 ultra marathons and raising money for the Teenage Cancer Trust. It's about 18-year-old Amelia Robinson of Barnard Castle. She was running today after 2 major surgeries in the last 3 years, having been diagnosed with scoliosis. It was about some of the well-known names today. We saw Dame Kelly Holmes running today, and I had a chat with her afterwards as well about, why she was here. And she was talking about women of her age and the well-being issues that some women of her age are going through. And she wanted to raise awareness for that. We saw Mark Clattenburg, the Gladiators referee, and the former Premier League referee running today, Tommy Fury as well. Everyone that's out there on that course, whether they're just running because they love running, whether they're running for a charity in memory of someone, it's just a brilliant opportunity to come together. And what I think about the Great North Run and any half marathon is I think it's achievable. I think most people could do it. I've often pushed you to try and do it. And I put your name forward to Paul Foster, the chief executive, who said he would find you a place next year.
I'd rather do the Tour of Britain.
You haven't put your hand up yet. I just think a half marathon is achievable for most people, and this half marathon, and I'm biased because I live in the Northeast, and it's been part of my sort of psyche for a long time, watching this race, coming over the Tyne Bridge, which is undergoing a massive sort of restoration project at the minute. I mentioned that because my wife's one of the project managers, and they're doing a tremendous job apparently, and it's going to look fantastic when it's done. But the more serious point is, you see the runners come across, the red arrows come over, finishes on the seafront at South Shields, and it has just become, really a big, huge part, not just about the British sporting scene, but about British charity as well. 25 million quid raised today.
Absolutely. Well said. Tour of Britain and Great North Run showing Britain at its very best, which is good to see, particularly this weekend. Talking of Britain at its best, the World Boxing Championships taking place in Liverpool at the moment. In our last podcast, we talked to Adel Kamara, who made, quote, a barnstorming debut in victory in his first bout at Liverpool in his home city. So brilliant performance from him. One of the many highlights so far for England and Great British Boxing. In the first 3 days of competition, boxers representing England had boxed 12 times and secured 10 victories. Chantel Reid being one of them, who was one of the Olympic boxers in Paris last year as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as the results start to come in over the next week or so. check out the podcast, the last podcast, if you haven't yet, to hear from Odell. He's going to be a superstar, and he certainly showed it in the ring at the World Boxing in Liverpool.
Yeah, do stay with us. Plenty of World Championships coming up. We've got gymnastics, we've got rowing. We'll hear more about that in future episodes. And of course, the World Athletics Championships begin very shortly in Tokyo. We will be joined in our next episode by a couple of very big names.
I obviously made the final decision, having gone through it many times, which was quite nice actually, just to make the decision and have that weight lifted off my shoulders.
This is my title, and it's not something that I'm looking to give up very easily. So, I think the 1500 is in a great spot from a challenger standpoint. I think it's going to be one of the races of the championships.
That's Georgia Hunter-Bell and Josh Kerr, two of Britain's best. And we will hear from others in the build-up to the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. Do follow and download, not to miss out. Busy few weeks. I mentioned the rowing, mentioned the gymnastics. We should mention the canoe slalom World Championships coming up as well. And Kimberly Woods has had an amazing few days, by the way. So we have a big friend of the pod in Kimberly Woods. Do check out our socials for her achievements over the past couple of days as well. I feel a big canoe slalom World Championships coming up for Great Britain.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Check out our socials, as Michael says. All the latest blogs are on the website, anythingbutfooty.com. There is the Spotify Olympic music playlist for your entertainment as well. And stay with us. We are moving on to Milan and looking ahead to LA.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.